Hello, Facebook and YouTube. So it's the air compressor project, the ARB air compressor, making it portable. And I'm going to try a quick experiment. So this is part 2, but this is just an experiment. I'm going to see if I can get it to run off of my cigarette lighter on my truck. So it won't be a permanent installation. I'm just going to wire up some wires and test it, see what it does. Hope it works. Okay, for this part of the experiment, okay, so I went ahead and I got my Sharpie pen and made one side red, one side black. I've got some little cigarette lighter plug-in, a couple of battery clips, and some terminals. See if I can find some appropriate gauge wire to do this, and then we'll see if we can get that bad boy to fire up. Okay, so got my ends stripped. I'm going to go ahead and put this into my truck and verify with the voltmeter which really is the positive and which really is the negative coming off of that cigarette lighter. There's probably a standard it's supposed to be, but I had one of the plugs from the same company that fooled me, so I'm not gonna let it fool me again. So let's see what we got. Okay, so I have that in the receptacle. I have the truck turned on. This outlet is non-functioning when the truck isn't turned on, or at least in the auxiliary position. So the one with the white writing should be the hot one. So I'll put my meter on it and see if I can film that. I'm not sure if I can or not, so let me try that. Okay, well, I'll explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the red lead and I'll touch it to one of the wires. I'll take the black lead and I'll poke it over into one of these bolts somewhere going into the frame, something that has a little bit of the paint rubbed off, or I'll just poke it in. And so then that should give me my positive and my ground. If I go from the ground to the ground, I should have 0 volts. If I go from the positive to the ground through the meter, then I should have right now probably around 12, maybe a little less because it's not fully operational. So let's see what we got. Okay, my meter doesn't have a max peak hold. This is not my fancy meter that's in my truck. So it reads real close to 12 volts. So the one with the writing on it is the hot. So that tells me what I need to know. So do the next step. Okay, so what I did was I just found another piece of wire that's very similar to the stuff that is used for these types of plugs. It's the same gauge, so it's really light, and it is definitely lighter than the wire that I would normally use, but I'm just testing it so it doesn't have to do much. Put a little crimped on connectors on it. I'm gonna wire nutted it over here, so I'm gonna plug it into the truck and see what it does. Okay, well, it didn't like that. Went for a second. So I'm wondering if the truck really wants to be running, if there's some kind of fail-safe in the truck. So let me try that. Interesting. Didn't like that. Have to figure out why. Okay, more to come. Okay, experiment number 2. Got rid of that. Gonna clip it right to the battery, so maybe, well, we'll see what happens before I start drawing some conclusions. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, let me hook it up straight to the battery. Let's see what it does. Building pressure. Okay, so it definitely will run straight off the battery. So I'm going to continue on with the design, and the design will just be to run jumper cables from the battery to the air compressor unit and just jumper cable it, and then it'll run. I'll have a little switch on there, so let me get appropriate size wires. The little tiny wire started to heat up a little bit, so it's definitely too small. So I'm thinking, boy, my collar looks stupid. Why didn't somebody say something? Yeah, just the collar looks stupid, nothing else. Yeah, watch it. So the design will work. So I'm not going to put a fuse in it. Maybe I will. I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe I will put a fuse. I don't know. I'll have to see about that. But I'll get some appropriate size wire, and that part will be a go. Okay, so we're going to call this part 2. Call it done. Oh, you know what? We'll call this part 2 not done. I'll do one more part where everything's all completely wired up properly, with or without a fuse, and then the test with actual jumper cables, real jumper cables. So we'll see what we got. Okay, out.